My first HO train layout in a long time, part 20, bits of this and that. In this video, I'm going to discuss a Christmas Day run, modeling scales versus track gauges, an AI Google search warning, screen RGB versus printer CYMK, and learning techniques from the internet. A few suggestions. Everyone was invited to the basement to view the dead rail trains running on the train table. The two diesel locomotives had been consisted in the LocoFi app so that they ran at the same speed on the outer loop of track, while I controlled the consolidation steam locomotive doing a bit of shunting. I also pointed out the paper and cardstock structures and noted how they were built. They were amazed at how the locomotives had sound and ran so well, thanks to the LocoFi system. The photos show the train table after the run that day. Note that one battery has been pulled from each battery box and set aside for the next run. Several of my paper and cardstock structures can be seen in their temporary placement. Many people confuse scale, a ratio of a full-size object to a model of that object, and track gauge, which is the width between the rails. In this case, it is the width between the rails for model trains. Full-size standard gauge is 4 feet 8.5 inches between the rails. I recently used Inkscape to compare the actual sizes of several popular modeling scales, not gauges. That information has been saved to a PDF document. When the document is printed, comparative walls at the various scales from 1/48 through 1/160th will be printed to the correct size. The screen captures show a reduced version of the scaled wall from the PDF and a screen capture comparing the locomotive sizes at various scales. On December 19th, 2024, I searched Google for difference between UK N-scale and USA N-scale trains. The search results gave me inaccurate information. I reported that to Google. 2 days later, on December 21st, 2024, it was still giving the same inaccurate information as shown in the screen capture. I again reported that to Google. Objects scaled to 1/148th UKN scale are larger than objects scaled to 1/160th USN scale. The 1/148th items are larger, not smaller, than the same items scaled to 1/160th scale. Be very careful in trusting information found on the internet, even a relatively trusted source like a Google search. By January 6, 2025, the incorrect answer was no longer presented and the information was correct. When using a vector drawing program like Inkscape, the colors presented on screen are RGB colors. RGB colors are mixes of red, green, and blue. When the drawing is printed, the printer uses CMYK colors. CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and the key color black. That means that what you see is not what you get when the item is printed. The upper left screen capture shows what a drawing in Inkscape looks like on screen, and the lower right shows what it looks like when it is printed. Obviously, both the screen captures from the Michael Scott's Inkscape lesson are now being viewed in RGB, but the difference can still be seen. This difference needs to be taken into consideration when creating structures in Inkscape. I learned how to create paper and card structures in Inkscape by following the videos on Michael Scott's YouTube channel, Chandwell. They were very useful, and I learned a lot. I followed the videos from the oldest to the most recent, which made sense to me at that time, but I also learned a valuable lesson. The lesson was to not purchase something used by someone else at a given point in time. As time passes and their techniques improve, they may change a product that they are using or recommending, or the way a technique is applied. Also, what works for one person may not work for another. This caused me to do a lot of changes to my website as far as changing the order of the topics in which the site is viewed. If I had viewed more of his Inkscape videos before purchasing the pictured varnishes, I never would have purchased them. I could not use varnishes because they made the prints run for both my HP and Epson printers. Also, I would have found out that he's now using a completely different varnish. When someone recommends a computer program that runs on both Windows and Mac, expect subtle differences in the way the programs operate. I found this to be true with both Inkscape and Extract CAD when used on a Mac. Some things that are easily found and purchased in one country are not available in another country. It is worth repeating that something that works for one person may not work for another. Resizing the browser window, as shown in the screen capture, makes reading my website much easier. I suggest that my website should be checked at least on a monthly basis to see what I've learned, relearned, and where I'm going next with this project. In January of 2025, new information was added to my website. If you have questions to ask or comments to share, my email address is linked at the top of my web page. I would love to hear from you.